Week 16 of the NFL season's here. It's our Christmas edition.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And I got a question for you. Who hit a 25-1 parlay this weekend? Boom, these guys. Who's still on vacation this weekend? Boom, this guy.
Who's on vacation next week?
Boom, that guy.
All of us.
Yeah, again. Anyway, actually we did really well. We finally, when we are doing this, we're not putting money that, it's going to be like, holy crap, we just lost that much. It's like, no, we're kind of actually playing around with it. But we did hit a 25-1 this week. I should put it up behind us here as we're talking. But it was actually really good. I mean, we put out about 4 bets. The Packers pretty much screwed one up real bad. Tim Tebow screwed another one up real bad. Well, not Tim Tebow, but the whole team. And the other one, the other one was a real long shot. It was like a $6 bet that would have turned into $675, but that didn't happen. Even though I think we did hit 2 or 3 out of the 5 part of it. But anyway, getting started here this week, we actually agree a lot, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
Scares me.
First off, I've got Houston as a 6-point favorite at Indianapolis. Indianapolis pulled off that win last week against Tennessee. Don't look for it to happen again. I know Houston, and Houston coming off a loss actually, but look for Houston to kind of rebound a little bit. A lot of Arian Foster. The defense keeps Indianapolis in check. 6 points, no problem.
Yeah, Houston offensively didn't look great last week, but the defense surprised me in giving up the points they did to Carolina. I look for them to rebound this game against Indy and Dan Orlovsky and to cover 6 points here.
Next up, we've got Kansas City at home. After their big upset of the Packers against Oakland, Kansas City is a 2-point favorite. I'm going to go ahead and take Oakland. Romeo Crennel takes over last week. You get one of those emotional pushes by the team. Those only go so far. I really think Oakland's outgunned them in every part of the game in this, and I think they should be able to cover this 2-point game or 2 points and actually win the game in Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to take this as my upset pick of the week. I'm going to take Oakland to cover 2. Kansas City still concerned about their offense. Tyler Palko, quarterback. Defense looked great last week, but this is a big game for Oakland. To me, it's definitely a must-win. So I'm going to take Oakland to win this game outright.
Next up, we have the Denver Broncos and Tim Tebow going to Buffalo. Denver's actually a 3-point favorite on the road. I don't like that at all. Ever since I've gone with my man Tebow, he has not covered the spread in the last 2 weeks. I don't look for him to go on the road and actually cover this. Buffalo still does have a good offense when Fitzpatrick, thank you. Covers is on. Look for the weather to be kind of crappy, even though Denver's not the best place to play. I mean, probably similar weather, but still, I don't like it on the road. I'm going to go ahead and take Buffalo. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo too, which in a way bothers me, just because Buffalo has been playing so poorly as of late. But you have to look at injuries with Buffalo. Fred Jackson, Roscoe Paris, their center. They've had a lot of injuries to deal with, but with that said, Denver, to me, it's hard to cover 3 on the road. I know they come back quite a bit, since Tebow took over. But I like Buffalo to cover here.
Yeah, I mean, C.J. Spiller's actually filled in really nice. I mean, if you picked him up after Fred Jackson went out or something like that, you probably found out his numbers actually been pretty decent. So,
right.
I just don't like the road game for Denver there. Next up, we have Tennessee at home, a 7.5-point favorite over Jacksonville. I'm going to go ahead and take Jacksonville on the road at 7.5. I don't think that Tennessee is going to blow them out by that much. I don't know if right now, like I said, I'm just speaking from my head here. I don't know if anybody is really happy with Hasselbeck or Jake Locker right now, and I think it's Hasselbeck's been replaced. I don't know if it was because of injury, to be honest with you, because I don't see their game. I haven't watched their game. I've watched just parts of it, so I don't know if there's a little bit of problem there. But 7.5, Tennessee should win this game, but look for it to be a little closer than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tennessee. Jacksonville, Jones-Drew. What else can you say? I mean, that's pretty much the team. Jacksonville's another team that's had a lot of injuries this year.
No love for the Missouri alum.
Hey, always right here, Blaine. But if you're completing 50% of your passes for 100 yards a game, it's not all his fault. There's not a lot of wide receivers to go to.
You're right. There's nobody. Offense. They've got a tight end.
But Tennessee's one of those teams, up and down. one week looks terrible. Next week they beat Baltimore. They're at home. I'm taking Tennessee to cover 7.5 here.
Next up, we got Cincinnati at home, a 4-point favorite over Arizona. With it being 4 points, with it being in Cincinnati, go ahead and give me Cincinnati. A.J. Green, I think, said he's going to play this week. That'll definitely help out, but I think the defense of Cincinnati should keep Arizona in check on the road. 4 points, no problem.
Yeah, I was torn on this game. Arizona's been playing well as of late, but Cincinnati at home, they're right there at 8-6 to make a playoff spot. They need this game. I like Cincinnati to cover 4.
And next up, we have New England at home, a 9.5-point favorite over Miami. I'll be honest with you, when I first saw this line, I actually was like, oh, Miami, no problem. Then I got to thinking of what I saw last week, and actually a fire in New England's belly. I mean, when they were that game last week, if you got to see it, I know some markets didn't. It wasn't a national game. But, I mean, Tom Brady and Tebow, everybody in that game was just fired up. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was all the hype from the news or the print or whatever, getting these teams like, oh, hey, it's Tebow against Brady, God versus evil. Man, we're from St. Louis. We can say New England's evil. So
yeah, we can.
But Tom Brady looked like he was a man possessed last week. And go ahead at home, give me New England to cover this 9.5, no problem.
Yeah, I'm taking New England. Even though Reggie Bush had 200 yards rushing, and I know you're going against New England's defense, still have some concerns about the Miami offense. Defensively, they look good. But New England, what they did last week, really without Rob Gronkowski, which probably hurt some people in the
good for
fantasy
people
leagues.
with Aaron Hernandez.
But, I'm taking New England to cover 9.5.
Next up, we have Baltimore at home, a 13-point favorite over Cleveland. Baltimore last week just got blown out by San Diego. At San Diego on the road. They come home this week. They play not a very good Cleveland team. Look for Baltimore to hit the gas. I mean, I don't know if they're in I don't know if they're in a realistic place right now to actually win the division and get the home field. That in their head, though, they might be thinking that. So I think they're going to put this gas on and just steamroll Cleveland with no offense.
Yeah, well, they're actually being tied with Pittsburgh. They have the advantage is winning the division if they can win their last two because they beat Pittsburgh twice. But Baltimore, the way they looked against San Diego, coming home against a Cleveland team, which they beat 24-10 a couple weeks ago, I would not want to be Cleveland right now. This team has got to be just pissed off at the way they performed, and I see Baltimore just blowing them out.
Yeah, we've seen this pattern with them this year of going to Seattle, losing, going on the road and just these just horrible beats, and Jacksonville's another one. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they get home, they right the ship, look for that to happen. Next up, we have the Battle of New York's Jets versus Giants. I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants in this one, even though they're an underdog at 3 points. I think the Jets have only beat them once in their last 5, So I'm not a big believer in Sanchez as a quarterback. You're going to have a lot of, really no home field advantage for anybody in this. Jets have season ticket holders there, but still, go ahead and give me the Giants to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Giants as well. Even though I picked Philadelphia to cover 3 last week, I was completely shocked at the score of that game.
Yeah, Philly, like I said, Philly. Ooh,
the Jets defense. I know you talk a lot about Sanchez, but how did the Jets go from being such a dominant defense to, they really? There's only been a couple games this year where they actually performed up to what I thought they were capable of. I just don't see it happen this week. I got to take the Giants to cover 3.
Next up, we have Washington at home, a 6.5-point favorite over Minnesota. I'm actually going to take Minnesota in this game. Look for Adrian Peterson to just get a ton of work in this one. I'm not really sold on Washington as a offense. Now, being at home, the game is going to be close, but at 6.5 points, give me Minnesota to cover.
I'm going to take Washington. I like Washington's defense. They played well. Granted, you've got AP, like you said. What makes me lean toward Washington is Minnesota's pass defense. I don't care. I think Minnesota could play the Rams, and we could probably throw for 300 yards because their passing defense, their secondary, is so bad. So bad. You look at what Breeze did last week. Now, granted, it's Drew Brees in New Orleans, but it's week in, week out. Minnesota's giving up these kind of yardage and points. I got to take Washington at home after the big win last week against the Giants.
St. Louis couldn't throw for 300 yards against St. Mary's blind school. There's just no way.
Well, they might be better. They might be better than Minnesota, so that's possible.
Next up, we have Carolina at home, a 7-point favorite over Tampa Bay. Give me Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Stewart. They're going to score a ton of points in this game. 7 points, no problem.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina also. I mean, they played well last week at Houston. Tampa Bay, I just don't know. They've really just been a disappointing year.
Spiraling down.
Yeah. I thought about, well, maybe they kind of control the ball at Blunt, but he hasn't even looked that good this year. So I'm taking Carolina at home to cover 7.
Oh, next up we have the big game here. I'm sorry. I did it again. At Pittsburgh, our St. Louis Rams play the very hurt Pittsburgh Steelers. Harrison's back from his suspension. I think we were talking if St. Louis scores 3 points, we'll be shocked. Look for Pittsburgh's defense to just hold them, maybe possibly get a score themselves to help out their wounded quarterback. 15 points, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Nothing else to say.
Next up, we have Detroit at home against San Diego. Detroit's a 2.5-point favorite. I've got to take San Diego. San Diego still has a glimmer of hope of getting into the playoffs. They've been playing really well. Just put it on Baltimore last week. Even Phillip Rivers, I don't know what his deal is. I don't even know what that whole team in San Diego's deal is. But unfortunately, Detroit, you're running into a hot team, and I just think they'll probably go in there and win in the Dome.
Yeah, Detroit plays well at home, but I'm taking San Diego. Phillip Rivers 25-2 in the month of December and January. It's a hard record to go against. But with that said, even though I'm taking San Diego, as soon as you get on that San Diego bandwagon, they throw it in your face and they throw a dud out there. How this team year in, year out is so mediocre record-wise is beyond me because they have better talent than that. But I'm going to take San Diego this week.
And at 52.5 right now, not really thinking about it because we won't normally make any picks for this till Friday. I would probably take the under with Detroit being a slow starter. And that's the only reason. They seem like when they get in these games with a better opponent, things seem to start out slow. 52.5, it just seems like that should be able to be easily covered on the under. Next up, we have San Francisco, a 2.5-point favorite, going to Seattle. I mean, we've said it a million times. Seattle plays a lot better at home. It's a lot tougher place to go in there and play. But San Francisco, I just think, grew a set of nuts last weekend when they just punched the Steelers in the face, and they're going to go up to Seattle and do the same thing to them.
Yeah, I'm taking San Francisco. I agree Seattle has one of the best home venues in the league. The one thing that Seattle counts on, relies on, is Marshawn Lynch. And when you're playing San Francisco, I don't think you can expect your running game to win the game.
Yep.
It's going to be on Tavares Jackson, and for that reason, I'm taking San Francisco to cover 2.5. They proved something against Pittsburgh to me.
Next up, we have Dallas at home, a 2-point favorite over Philadelphia. I'm a big Philadelphia fan, to be honest with you. My whole fantasy team was based around, Vic and McCoy this year, the Dirty Trombones. By the way, speaking of the Dirty Trombones, the highest scoring team in the league when it didn't matter last week. Boom, suck on that. But obviously they showed up when we were playing for 6th and 7th place. Oh, where were we at? Oh, we're at Dallas. Give me Philadelphia in this game. I don't like Dallas at home in these games. I think Mike Vick is just going to run all over them. And this is another one of those like Dallas, New York Giants, Dallas, Washington, Dallas, whoever that's in their division are always tough games. I look for a high-scoring game. Mike Vick should just tear it up because he's starting for my team.
Yeah, for some reason, Dallas, when it comes to the big game, just can't get it done. But with that said, I'm taking Dallas.
How about this, Cowboys?
I think the thing that scares me about Dallas is without DeMarco Murray. Felix Jones played well last week. He needs to have a big game. I think DeMarcus Ware, defensive line, they put pressure on Vic. I think they cover the 2 at home. This is a big game. If they can win this game, it comes down to next week against the Giants, which it's going to come down that way either way probably, but I like Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, really, they're going to be shooting for Vic. All they got to do is hit him really hard once, get him out of the game. I think Dallas will be fine. But if Vic stays healthy, boom. Next up, we have Green Bay, the no longer, on this win streak thing anymore. They're basically just trying to get to the playoffs healthy. 13-point favorite. That being said, go ahead and still give me Green Bay. Chicago going in there is still, without Forte, without Cutler. Look for them to make a little bit of a statement in front of the home crowd. 13 points, no problem.
Yeah, I'm going to make it my lock of the week. I'm taking Green Bay. After last week's performance with Chicago's offensive problems and injuries, I look for Green Bay to come out and roll here.
And next up, we have the New Orleans Saints at home, a 6.5-point favorite over Atlanta. Give me New Orleans. Drew Brees is just tearing it up. I think when Atlanta gets on the road, they're not as a good team as when they're at home, even though they both play in a dome. Give me New Orleans on a big stage to just throw 1,000,000 points up.
I'm going to take Atlanta here. New Orleans at home, hard to beat, I understand. Not saying Atlanta's going to win, but this is a big game for Atlanta. One, to possibly try and win the division. They've got to win this game. Two, they're not locked into a playoff spot yet, but they have a lot more to play for, I think, than New Orleans right now. So I'm going to take Atlanta.
Yeah, with Drew Brees being quarterback, I really think that New Orleans will be taking this game like they've got something to play to, and that's the only reason I'm taking them in this one too. Because wrong hat. There we go. I'll be heading down there after Christmas, so. All right, that'll do it. Week 16. Hopefully we'll do as well as we did last weekend, because it really is fun on a Monday night when the over gets covered.
It was Sunday night, but that's right.
Whatever. I couldn't remember. It's just tears of joy. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
See ya.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the